Today we are going to talk about the generations of the Sony Playstation and its legacy.
PlayStation.
Welcome to Tech vs. Gaming, where we show you console news, upcoming games, tech bits, give our honest opinions and reviews, and sprinkle in some alpaca memes, all while sharing the love for gaming. For easy reference of each console, be sure to check out the timestamps in the description and scrubber bar. So let's get started. Back on December 3rd, 1994, Sony decided to jump into the home console market and launch the original PlayStation in Japan. Western markets had to wait a year to be able to get their hands on the revolutionary system. Back then, 3D graphics were in their infancy and only recently popularized, with what is now considered arcade PC games that were incredibly pixelated. Over 7,900 titles were released, selling almost a total of 1 billion games. 5 years later, a slim version called the PS1 was released in a much smaller body while offering all the same features. The original PlayStation had a 32-bit CPU with a clock rate of 33 MHz. And hold on to your seats, 2 full megabytes of RAM. Its resolution could reach 480p, which for the time felt crystal clear. When Sony finally released the PlayStation to the rest of the world in September 1995, it came with a price tag of $299 US, which is about $500 in today's money. Controllers haven't really changed much throughout the years. Classic case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The original controller did not include the dual joysticks, which we are so familiar with today. It also only had 2 shoulder buttons. Players had to wait a year until April 1996 for the privilege of using those analog sticks. And you may know this already, but the analog button in the middle, yeah, that's to turn on or off the ability to use the sticks. Totally unnecessary? Sure, but a lot of people never knew what the button was for until recently, just like me. 2 decades later, in 2018, Sony decides to re-release this console and call it the PlayStation Classic, which is a miniature version of it and comes preloaded with 20 games and uses a 1.5 GHz processor and comes with an HDMI output. So it may look like a miniature version of the original, but it's a lot more powerful, and you can't really change the games, they're preloaded. Some of the most iconic games came out on the original PlayStation, including Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid, Tekken 3, Ridge Racer, Resident Evil, Castlevania, and Gran Turismo. To date, the PS1 has sold over 83 million units. PlayStation 2, aka
Hey mom, it's a cheaper DVD player, which you were thinking of getting anyways.
With the ability to play most PS1 games as well as CDs and DVDs, this console blew up in popularity and is to this day the most sold system ever with over 155 million units since its release in November 2000. Priced similarly to its predecessor, the PS2 found itself at a comfortable $299, which if you account for inflation made it a few dollars cheaper than the PS1.
This is DVD. And this is what happens when you watch DVD.
DVDs back then were all the rage, while DVD players could cost up to $1,000. So getting a PS2 was like a 2-in-1 deal. It also boasts the biggest library of games, seeing how tons of game developers were pushing to release their games on it. That's over 3,800 games. The system came out a year before its main competitor, the Xbox, and by then had already cornered the market. The resolutions included 480i, 480p, and some games such as Gran Turismo 4 could run at 1080i. 4 years after the initial release, Sony decided to make a smaller, slim model with a lighter, sleeker design while still offering all the great features. The hard drive bay had to be removed, however, not that anyone actually used this feature, except maybe hardcore fans of Final Fantasy XI. And that's about it. PS2 offered titles such as Grand Theft Auto series, Shadow of the Colossus, Final Fantasy X and XI, Metal Gear Solid, Jak and Daxter, Kingdom Hearts, Devil May Cry, Soul Calibur, the Burnout series, Dragon Ball Budokai and Tenkaichi, Silent Hill, SOCOM, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, SSX, Guitar Hero, and so much more. the PlayStation 3, aka
Hey mom, it's a cheaper Blu-ray player, which you were thinking of getting anyways.
The Goliath of consoles. This was the George Foreman grill of consoles.
a massive and powerful beast. And it wasn't afraid of being called fat nor expensive. It knew it was a big hunk of metal and silicon and was going to make all your wishes come true, at least when it comes to video games. Obviously, people weren't expected to hear the price tag. Yeah, this did not stop Sony from selling plenty of units and making it a worthy successor. Sure, it quickly started overheating and the fans sounded like a jet engine about to take off, but at least it didn't have major fatal flaws like the Xbox 360's Red Ring of Death. Sony quickly realized it needed to do some damage control as it couldn't continue to sell the system and expect a full $599 price tag. Apparently, Sony was still losing money on each sale despite how much they were asking for the unit, so they got to working and released updated models over the next couple years. The 20 and 60 gigabyte models were so expensive to manufacture because they had full backwards compatibility. Not only could you play the current Blu-ray discs containing PS3 games, but you could also play PS2 and PS1 games on it. Then, starting with the 80 gigabyte model, the PS2 CPU was removed and could only play PS3 and PS1 games on it. The last of the original George Foreman grill design topped off at 160 gigabytes. After that, a slim model appeared in September 2009 with models ranging from 120 up to 320 gigabytes and had a redesigned 45nm CPU. The slim version was a third smaller and lighter and used half as much power, which allowed it to run cooler and quieter, and best of all, it was cheaper at only $299. 3 years later, a super slim version came out with a sliding tray and featuring an even smaller design that is 20% lighter than the slim version and the same appealing price tag while offering 250 gigabytes or 500 gigabytes. An important feature to note is that all PS3s run at 1080p, allowing it to take advantage of the high-end Full HD TVs that were becoming popular as well as its Blu-ray capabilities. The hardware was a clear generational upgrade from the PS2, making it a definite worthy purchase even if you already owned the PS2. All models include either a 6-axis controller or a DualShock 3. Both look identical to the PS2's DualShock 2. The main difference being the analog button was switched out for a PlayStation button that offers more options and enabled you to turn on your console. And they were wireless, so you just push the button and it would turn on your console just for you, no wires. The 6-axis was replaced by the DualShock 3 after a lengthy patent legal battle with a company named Immersion. This allowed the updated controller to use the rumble feature together with its motion sensing capability. Unfortunately, not many game developers took advantage of the motion sensing feature as they were focusing on making games that could be used on the Xbox 360 controller as well, which did not offer such a feature. Sony decided to replace it with the regular DualShock 3, and the rest is history. The PS3 had Wi-Fi and free online multiplayer, which was a major selling point. Microsoft had online multiplayer as well, but it was wired, and you had to pay a monthly subscription, which turned off a lot of players. Some of the most popular PS3 titles include GTA 4 and 5, the Uncharted series, Red Dead Redemption, BioShock, MotorStorm, Batman Arkham Asylum, God of War 3, The Last of Us, Call of Duty, plenty of those, Dead Space, Ni no Kuni, Borderlands, Infamous, Killzone, Need for Speed, Madden, 2K, Street Fighter, Rock Band, Portal, Journey, Midnight Club, and Assassin's Creed, and there is a lot more. The PlayStation 4, aka
Hey mom, this one doesn't spy on us and force you to be online 24/7.
Or if we're honest, we just wanted to play Spider-Man and 2K. The PS4 came out at the almost exact same time as its biggest rival, the Xbox One, on November 15th, 2013, and saw a great reception. It offered 500 gigabytes and Wi-Fi, and online multiplayer was now a monthly subscription that you had to purchase just like with the Xbox. Luckily, Sony had learned its lesson from the PS3's launch and decided to keep the price at a cool $399.
I'm very proud to announce that PlayStation 4 will be available at $399.
Which was over $100 cheaper than its predecessor at launch. The DualShock 4 controller is similar to the DualShock 3 and included a mic as well as a cool LED in the back. It also had a touch bar, which nobody ever used. The grips, however, were more rounded and felt a bit bigger. This was a great upgrade for adults and people with bigger hands, as it felt more comfortable, but smaller hands might have a harder time getting a good grip on this controller. The PS4 storage can easily be expanded by attaching a portable hard drive of your choice using its USB 3.0 inputs. While the PS4 is not backwards compatible, you do have the option to purchase emulated digital PS2 games on the PlayStation Store. As for playing PS3 games, some are also available for purchase using Sony's subscription system called PlayStation Now, which offers streaming of PS3 games to your PS4.
Download games from PlayStation Now to your PS4 system.
In 2016, a smaller version came out, which is about 40% smaller in size.
We will introduce a PS4 system that is slimmer, lighter, and more energy efficient.
And includes a newer USB 3.1 standard and had 500 gigabytes of storage. A year later, a 1TB version was released. Around the same time the Slim was released, a Pro version came out which offered 4K rendering and improved VR performance, as well as a faster GPU that could do 4.2 teraflops as opposed to 1.8. The PS4 truly delivered in 8th generation game titles, offering beloved games such as Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn, The Witcher, Wipeout Omega Collection, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Persona 5, Ghosts of Tsushima, the new God of War, Fallout, Doom, sequels to the previous generations, and plenty of Call of Duty games, and so much more. As of today, the PS4 has sold over 106 million units worldwide and over 1.2 billion video games.
PlayStation.
The PlayStation 5. AKA
The sexiest alien router in the market with the thickest curves.
or
I can't get my pre-order.
two versions will be available at launch, where one is all digital, meaning it has no Ultra HD Blu-ray disc drive. The controller will look different from its previous generations despite using a very similar button layout. It will boast better haptic feedback, a better built-in microphone, and adaptive triggers. Claims that the PS5 running at 4K 60p are yet to be tested. They say 8K, they say 4K 120 frames per second, they say HDR, but I am curious which games can actually perform most of those. The hard drive has been replaced with a soldered-on 825GB NVMe SSD that is supposed to be much faster than current NVMe's. Of those 825GB, only about 600-ish of those gigabytes will be usable. Additional storage can be purchased and installed by taking apart the console and adding the SSD inside. Cover plates are easily removable. The CPU will use liquid metal instead of regular thermal paste in the hopes of having better heat conductivity to transfer it all through the giant heatsink and let the massive fan cool everything. Let's hope it won't be as noisy as a PS4, as I don't want to hear any more jets taking off in my living room.
PlayStation.
With its 16GB of GDDR6 memory and a bandwidth of almost half a terabyte per second, load times are expected to be drastically shortened, allowing you to play sooner and for worlds and resources to load much more quickly. Similar to its competitor, the PS5 has an 8-core Zen 2 CPU clocking in at 3.5 GHz. The GPU is a 10 teraflop custom RDNA 2 architecture, which promises incredible ray tracing and gaming performance at high resolution. This will be a huge monster and one of the biggest consoles ever. Launch titles will include Call of Duty Cold War, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Spider-Man Miles Morales Ultimate Edition, Demon's Souls, Godfall, Ratchet & Clank, NBA 2K21, and Destruction All-Star. So, are you excited about the PS5? Let me know down in the comments below. If you like this kind of video and you want to see more, then be sure to subscribe, and I will see you next time.